So what I've done for you here is I've created an Excel file and I've imported the information from Semmelweis' actual study. And so you'll see down at the bottom there are different tabs. So this first tab is mortality by year and month. And so you see here's the letter A column is the year, then the month, the number of births, the number of deaths, and the mortality rate. So it's in there, but it's not actually calculated. If you wanted to check the calculations, you could come over here to this this cell right next to the calculations, and you can do them yourself. So for example, if you want to know if that 14.6 mortality rate is correct, you would do the equals sign, put equals, and then you would do the deaths, which is 37, click on that, it'll automatically populate, and then you hit the division sign, and then you hit the births. And so you divide deaths by births, and you should get the mortality rate. So it looks like they rounded it off. So it's 14.6, and here you see it's a percentage. So if you wanted it not to be expressed as a decimal, you could come over here to the formula bar, and then you can put these in parentheses here. And then you can just multiply by 100, hit enter, and then you'll get what that mortality rate is. So you can also copy the formula on down, and then it'll automatically populate. So go ahead and study this, and then when you look at this, this is just 1841, then here you have 1842, and then you have a comparison of all of the months. So for example, this is April, the same month, all of these different years. August, same month, different years. So you'll see each little data set can be separate. And you can track in December over all these different years. So what we want to do, we want to study it. See, here he implemented in January the strict controls. Here's when he was fired. And here's when he instituted the hand washing policy mid-May. So you see, you're going to repeat some of these years because these are all March and these are all May. And this is it was actually instituted before he was fired, and then the next year, then it went down to just one. You see how it did make a difference. So that's the first tab. The second tab has a comparison of the first clinic and the second clinic, as it talked about in the other video, and then it has notes on what happened during that time. So you see it is here from 1833 all the way to 1858, a comparison of the two clinics. And then over here, this is the third tab, and this goes back to 1784. So this goes back a long time, and you see that they weren't doing the autopsies and then delivering the babies. You see how low the mortality rate was. And then here they start doing the autopsies and then delivering the babies. You see it increases. And you see here when the chlorine washings begin, and then here he is dismissed. The fourth tab just has a brief comparison of the first clinic and the second clinic, not as detailed. So now I'm going to give you an example of how to make a chart. So let's say I wanted to do all of the November ones. I want to go ahead and copy all of those because the data needs to be next to each other. So I'm going to copy those and paste those here, and I'm going to double click between the J and the K so you can have it auto fit. So now I have all the November dates, and now here's the November data. It has to be next to each other. I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to paste that right next to the label. So when I make this graph, we're going to have the label here and then the data next to it. So let me check and make sure. November 1843, 7.1. Yes, so my data is correct. So I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to take that and I'm going to click on the insert, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on a two-dimensional column graph. So it automatically made the graph for me. I'm going to move this over here, and so I can edit the chart title, and I can call this mortality rates. Okay, and I can also format it, in different ways. If I want to change the color of the bars, I can do that. So here we see that when Semmelweis instituted the hand washing policy in May of 1847, we see in November the decrease in mortality rates. And then we see in 1849 that he was terminated, so we don't have that data there. So what I want you to do is I want you to go through, you don't have to do it exactly like this. You can find a different month, different sets of months, or different years, and make a chart. I'm on the brief comparison tab, which is the last tab, and what I've done is I've put this first row here, and it says year, but I've put year in front of it so that it will know that that is not necessarily a number that I want in my chart. And then I put the Clinic 1 rate here. So what I did is just copy this whole row and put it over here. And then I put Clinic 1, and then here I put Clinic 2, and then I put the other row. So now I'm going to show you how to make a graph using this data. So I'm going to highlight all of it. And it also is going to include this empty spot here. And then I'm going to press Insert. And then I'm going to click Recommended Charts. And here you'll see that what it has a comparison of Clinic 1 and Clinic 2, and it has the years down here at the bottom and the mortality rate over here at the side. And so another thing I can do, this is a bar graph comparison. I can also do a line graph because line graphs show changes over time. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the same information, and this time I'm going to click Insert, and I'm going to click over here on this where this line graph is, and then I'm going to insert the line graph. So now this is going to be the same data, but it's showing changes over time. And again, I can just revise the chart title. And then I have the mortality rates here, and then I have a comparison. So what I want you to do in this assignment is I want you to find things in the chart that that you think will prove your case in that hand washing works, and then make the chart and include that in your presentation as to why we should institute hand washing. And if you look over the long view of it, you can make a chart with all of this data, or you could select, every 10 years, select one line every 10 years and see the changes over time. So there's lots of things you can do. And I look forward to seeing what you do in Excel. If you have any questions, please call me, email me, and I'll help you.